How are we all? I'm finally gonna do Into the Woods today. Here we go, Into the Woods. This is take 5. But I don't care, I'm gonna try it anyway. Today I'm gonna try and be a little more organized, and B, a little less repetitive. Because every time I mention someone, I just say, they're hilarious and they can sing, okay? So, Into the Woods, my favorite musical of all time. It's about 4 fairy tales that intertwined together, and in one basic story. And it also tells what happened after their story, which is pretty dark. Okay, so it starts with a narrator. There's a narrator who usually doubles as this mysterious old man. His character's name is Mysterious Man. And he's just pops out everywhere, annoys the heck out of all the characters. But I'd like to see those 2 roles played by Kelsey Grammer. He has great acting and singing voice. He can do very well. And it's not that funny a role, but Kelsey Grammer can be serious. He has done Shakespeare. Now, Cinderella, we all know Cinderella. Went to the ball, lost the slipper. I would like to see Amanda Seyfried from Mamma Mia do that role. She is very, very, very talented actress and great singer. Maybe a little too young for Cinderella, but I still love her. Then there is Jack of Beanstalk fame, who I would like to see done by Aaron Tveit from Next to Normal. He's maybe a little too old, but he'd probably be good. And then for Jack's mother, I'd like to see that role played by Patti LuPone. I think she'd be good as, like, the little frumpy old lady. It's not a major singing role, but I guess Patti LuPone could do a good job. That, of course, it is a Sondheim musical, and she is a Sondheim girl. Then there is a baker, and the main story of this are a baker and his wife. The baker's and his wife cannot have a child. They've tried hundreds of times, but they can't have a child. So, and they have no clue why, but they're about to find out, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But for the baker, I want someone a little more energetic, because in the original Broadway production, the role was played by Chip Zien. Very, very boring. I almost fell asleep during his performance, okay? But I'd like to see him played by Matthew Morrison, because Matthew Morrison, anyone who's on Glee could bring down the house with a performance. Just energetic, he's much better for the role. Then the baker's wife, I would like to see played by Jane Krakowski. She, as I say as always, she's funny, and she can sing. And she could just bring, she's a very, clever woman. She's really the woman behind the great woman behind the man. Because she's really, his head would fall off if he didn't have his wife. So Jane Krakowski would be good for that role. Then there's Cinderella's stepmother, and I would want her to be played by someone who you're probably not familiar with, but she's very, very funny. She is in the Addams Family right now, and she's one of the most hilarious, probably the most hilarious Broadway star of them all, Jackie Hoffman. This woman is hysterical. I love her. She could do it because it's some singing is involved, but it's more comedy. She could do perfect. Then there are the 2 stepsisters, Florinda and Lucinda. I would like to see them played by the title of show ladies, Heidi Blickenstaff, and the also very hilarious Susan Blackwell. Then there's Cinderella's father. He's very, he's unaware of how cruel his second wife is being to his daughter, but he's just an idiot. But it's a very funny role, and I'd like to see it played by Fred Applegate, who did Young Frankenstein, and right now he's on Broadway in La Cage. And he just is the right body type for the character. Not a lot of singing involved, but Then there is Little Red Riding Hood, and that I would like to be played by 13 the musical, and Bye Bye Birdie star Allie Trim. She's like the only person I can really see for that role, because if not her, you'd have to get someone new, and this isn't Annie. Then there is the best character of them all, the witch. She is the lead character. She's just the witch, and she had put a curse on the baker and his wife, because the baker's father had stolen beans and done stuff. And she's actually the witch of Rapunzel, the one that locked her in the tower. So she's very old and ugly in the beginning, but then at the end of Act 1, spoiler alert, she becomes beautiful again. Well, again. Then I would like to see that role played by Catherine Zeta-Jones. Sondheim already loves her because she did the Little Night Music Revival, which she was brilliant in. I just think she'd be perfect. She'd be very, like, mysterious and just very cruel, aside from having a beautiful voice. And she can be funny. It's not the funniest role in the show, but she could do it. Then there is Cinderella's mother, which is a bit of a cameo. It's just like a couple lines. She appears in a tree. It's the ghost of Cinderella's mother, and she's like the fairy godmother role in this Cinderella story. And I would like to see her played by the original witch, Bernadette Peters, just as a cameo. I think that would be nice for her. Then there's the wolf, who would be another cameo. The wolf that eats Little Red and her grandmother. There's one, he sings a song, and then he dresses up his grandma, then he dies, and that's the end. I'd like to see Nathan Lane play that role. I've never discussed on this how much I love Nathan Lane. He is great, just one of my favorite actor of all time. But he'd be just very, the wolf is usually played by a thinner man, but I just think he'd be very funny, and of course, we all know of his voice. Then there is Little Red's grandmother. I think that would be no singing at all, but it's a funny role, and I think it would be really good for Elaine Stritch as a cameo. But a bigger cameo than Nathan Lane or Bernadette Peters, because she comes back after her one big scene. Then there is Rapunzel. Rapunzel would be kind of like a bigger cameo, because she doesn't do as much as other characters, but she still is a vital part of the show. I would like to see that part played by Kristen Chenoweth, because it's a very high part, and the only person that could really hit those high notes is Kristen Chenoweth, who I also love. Then there's Rapunzel's prince, there are two princes, Cinderella's prince and Rapunzel's prince. Cinderella's prince has more to do than Rapunzel's prince, but still. But Rapunzel's prince I would like to see played by Cheyenne Jackson. You know, Xanadu, They Need a Rainbow. He could do it, sing funny. He could just do it like Macho Man, like, I'm better than you. Which is basically also what Cinderella's prince is. And I would like to see that role played by Neil Patrick Harris. They could both knock those roles out of the water. Then there's the steward. He's the servant to the princes, and that's just not small, but not huge. Comic role, and I would like to see that role played by Edward Hibbert. You know, he was in Dressing Chaperone and Curtains. He could just do it very funnily with all his characters are usually played as, like, gay men. I think it'd be funny to have the steward as a gay man. I think that would just be very, very pompous. I think that would be funny. And then there's a giant, the giant's wife. It's like, she comes back in Act 2 after Jack kills her husband, and she's, like, tearing over houses, and they think it's like this huge giant, and then it's a woman, and the witch screams, "The giant's a woman!" And that's just one of the funniest lines in the show. But I'd like to see that role played by Bebe Neuwirth. It's really just only voice. She has a couple lines, and I think it's a good role for Bebe Neuwirth, because she could do, like, the booming voice. Okay, so that is Into the Woods. I forgot to mention what I would like to see it done as. I would like to see it done as, first and foremost, a recording. Maybe a concert afterwards, but definitely a recording. Okay, I got through it. Yay! My next